All right. Yeah, that's what I wanted. That's the wrong damn thing. Timeline. Yeah, this one. Right. So on this thing, I know it's saying here. This is on the timeline of the nuclear weapons timeline. So from 1942, you had the Manhattan Project, which is during World War II. Now, which is also prophesied in the scriptures. In 1945, 16 July, it says the US conducts first ever nuclear test. That's the first blip that we saw. Now it says the US government tests its first nuclear weapon, codenamed Trinity, in New Mexico. So if you know anything, you know that the Trinity goes back to the Babylonian triune of gods, right? It represents in their occult godhood. Now they called the nuclear weapons test, they codenamed it Trinity. Why? Because they were basically seeing this power that they were receiving to be a godly power. See how these devils roll? The power of the gods. All right. The U.S. government tested its first nuclear weapon, codenamed Trinity, in New Mexico. Its yield equals 20 tons of TNT. The date of the test marks the beginning of the nuclear age. Okay? And then, it goes through all the timeline. France and all these guys and blah, blah, blah. And all this bullshit. Non-proliferation garbage. Which that ain't gonna mean shit. They already got the weapons. They're already developing the weapons, and the weapons are going to be used, man, according to the will of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. All right. So, now that that's been said, right, this is Isaiah 9:5. It says, "For every battle of the warrior is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood, but this shall be with burning and fuel of fire." All right, because this third world war is going to culminate in nothing more than an exchange in these missiles, man, in these highly destructive weapons that bring forth fire. All right, and that's exactly what's going to happen. And America is going to receive the shitty end of that stick. All right, this is Isaiah 13, and we're going to start from verse 1. It says, "The burden of Babylon, which Isaiah the son of Amos did see." Now, when this was written, parts of this prophecy applied to the ancient Babylon. But there's a new Babylon, Babylon the Great, Mystery Babylon, the mother of harlots, and which this prophecy also applies to in its fullness and perfection. It says, "Lift up a banner upon the high mountain, exalt the voice unto them, shake the hand that they may go into the gates of the nobles. I have commanded my sanctified ones, I have also called my mighty ones for mine anger, even them that rejoice in my highness. The noise of a multitude in the mountains, like as a great people, a tumultuous noise of the kingdoms of nations gathered together. The Lord of hosts mustereth the host to the battle." So the Most High gonna put the spirit on these devils to enter into that World War III, right? And they're going to destroy each other. It says, "They came from a far country, from the end of heaven, even the Lord and the weapons of his indignation to destroy the whole land." What's that? Them intercontinental ballistic missiles carrying them warheads. You also have the nuclear submarines that can launch it off your coast. You got the nuclear trains. It says, "Howl ye, for the day of the Lord is at hand." So that's going to represent the day of the Lord. And then what is the day of the Lord? The day of the Lord is destruction, is the fire. And the main fire is going to be coming from them nuclear missiles, man. Also from the chariots of the Lord, but that's another lesson. It says, "Therefore shall all hands be faint, and every man's heart shall melt." Yeah, because when them missiles is launched, and then people see the missiles on their way, they gonna know it's over. There ain't no running from. You can't run from Hussein Bolt. I don't care who you think you are, man. I don't care what car you got. You got fucking brand new Bugatti, Ferrari. You ain't if you see them missiles, man, and they detonate in your vicinity, that's it. It's a wrap for you. If you ain't of the elect, it's a wrap. I don't know. It don't matter who you are. Chris Christie, you could be Dynamo. You and these guys disappear. You ain't disappearing nowhere, man. You're gonna disappear after you disintegrate, from the fire. It says, and they shall be afraid. Pangs and sorrow shall take hold of them. They shall be in pain as a woman that travaileth. They shall be amazed one another. Their faces shall be as flames. Behold, the day of the Lord cometh cruel, both with wrath and fierce anger, to lay the land desolate. And he shall destroy the sinners thereof out of it. And the sinners represent what? The 2/3 of our people and these other nations that's in the land of America, because they're committing sin, they're transgressing too. Right? Now the ones who are not going to be destroyed in America are the ones whose sins are covered, which is the elect of Israel. Alright? That are under Yahushua. For the stars of heaven and the constellations thereof shall not give their light. Meaning the Lord, the times ain't with you, man. Alright? It's not your time to shine. It's not your time to see. When Esau was setting up America, hey, everything was right. It was their time, because the stars in the stars in the heaven are like a clock. They're like signals, man. That's why they say in the ancient world, oh, the stars have aligned, meaning something's happened and it's allowing something to take place. Now, it could be good for you. On the other hand, it could be bad for you. Now, we don't get into all that stargazing and all that stuff. We go by the prophecy. But it's quite clear. The stars of heaven and the constellations thereof shall not give their light. Meaning, it ain't whatever's set up to happen to you right now, it ain't good. The sun shall be darkened in his going forth, and the moon shall not cause her light to shine. I will punish the world for their evil, and the wicked for their iniquity. Yeah? Like all this LGBT, this pedophilia, the witchcraft, the idolatry, which is and then the worst thing about it is America then pushes that on the rest of the world, man. Through their media and through their policies, man. And I will cause the arrogancy of the proud to cease. Yeah, because right now, these devils, especially these American devils, are hella proud, man. They're hella proud, man, but how proud they gonna be when their missiles come over? And I will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible. That represents what? The Americans, man, and their so-called great American military. Well, guess what? With all that, they're still gonna be destroyed. And I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir. And that man that's more precious is talking about the elect. All right? Because gold is tried in the fire, and acceptable men in adversity. Therefore I will shake the heavens, and the earth shall remove out of her place. When these thermonuclear weapons that these nations possess, man, are detonated in America and other places around the world in short succession, it's going to actually shake the earth and remove it out of its place. In the wrath of the Lord of hosts, in the day of his fierce anger. And it shall be as the chase roe, and as a sheep that no man taketh up. They shall every man turn to his own people, and flee one into his own land. Every one that is found shall be thrust through, and every one that is joined unto them shall fall by the sword. Their children also shall be dashed to pieces before their eyes, their houses spoiled, and their wives ravished. Behold, I will stir up the Medes against them. Now, you had the Medes in the ancient world, but now you got the Edomites living in the land of the Medes, the Gog and Magog, and it represents them today. I will stir up the Medes against them, the Russians, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it. Meaning they ain't going to be able to pay Russia off. Their bows also shall dash the young men to pieces, and they shall have no pity on the fruit of the womb. Their eyes shall not spare children. And Babylon, aka America, The glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees' excellency, shall be as when God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. And that's how you know that this prophecy is going to be fulfilled in its perfection in Babylon the Great. Because the ancient Babylon wasn't destroyed as Sodom and Gomorrah. But this new Babylon is going to be destroyed as the Most High overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. And it shall never be inhabited, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation. Neither shall the Arabian pitch tent there, neither shall the shepherds make their fold there. But wild beasts of the desert shall lie there, and their houses shall be full of doleful creatures, and owls shall dwell there, and satyrs shall dance there, and the wild beasts of the islands shall cry in their desolate houses, and dragons in their pleasant places. And her time is near to come, and her days shall not be prolonged. And that's talking about America. All right? Right, and that goes hand in hand with Revelations 18. All right, it says, and after these things I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen. That's America, man. America's Babylon the Great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and the cage of every unclean and hateful bird. All right, which proves, this proves that there ain't no such thing as unclean animals anymore, according to these boneheaded Christians. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich to the abundance of her delicacies, because America has been the number one market to sell your goods. You get rich if you sell into the American market, and you gain like 10% of that market. You're already a millionaire, man. 20 times over. More than that. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. And the ones that's going to come out is the elect. For her sins have reached unto heaven, and the Most High have remembered her iniquities. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her double according to her works. In the cup which she have filled to her double. How much she have glorified herself, and lived deliciously. So much torment and sorrow give her. So as much as these devils, these Edomites, have been living it up in America and enjoying the proceeds from their evil and wickedness, beginning with what they did to the Native American Indians, the Lord's going to bring all that sorrow back to them, man, in these last days. And it's going to culminate in America's destruction completely. And I'm no widow. Sorry. For she saith in her heart, I sit a queen, and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire. For strong is the Lord God who judgeth her. Yeah, and there's that fire. And how's that fire going to come? Through them nuclear missiles, man. And the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her shall bewail her and lament for her, when they shall see the smoke of her burning, standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, Alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise anymore. Yeah, you can say goodbye to the American market. 350 million people zapped. The merchandise of gold and silver and precious stones and pearls and fine linen and purple and silk and scarlet and all thine wood and all manner of vessels of ivory and all manner of vessels of most precious wood and of brass and iron and marble and cinnamon and odors and ointments and frankincense and wine and oil and fine flour and wheat and beasts and sheep and horses and chariots and slaves and the souls of men. All right. And the fruits that thy soul lusted after are departed from thee, and all things which are dainty and goodly departed from thee, and thou shalt find them no more at all. And that's going to begin when all hell breaks loose, man. There's going to be a great shortage of all things in America, man. And it's going to culminate in the final destruction, man. The merchants of these things which were made rich by her shall stand afar off for the fear of her torment, weeping and wailing and saying, Alas, alas, that great city that was clothed in fine linen and purple and scarlet and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls. For in 1 hour so great riches is come to naught, and every shipmaster and all the company in ships and sailors and many as trade by sea stood afar off, and cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, What city is like unto this great city? And they cast dust on their heads and cried, weeping and wailing, saying, Alas, alas, that great city wherein were made rich all that had ships in the sea by reason of her costliness, for in 1 hour is she made desolate. Rejoice over her, right, thou heaven, and ye holy apostles and prophets, for the Most High have avenged you on her. And a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea, saying, Thus with violence, right, war, shall that great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all. And the voice of harpers and musicians and of pipers and trumpeters shall be heard no more at all in thee, and no craftsman or whatsoever craft he may be shall be found any more in thee, and the sound of a millstone shall be heard no more at all in thee, and the light of a candle shall shine no more at all, and the voice of the bridegroom and of the bride shall be heard no more at all in thee, for thy merchants were the great men of the earth, for by thy sorceries were all nations deceived. And in her was found the blood of the prophets and of the saints and all that were slain upon the earth, man. And that's America. The end. Yeah? Through and through. All right? In fact, before I close up, let me read Isaiah 47, man. And get straight to the point I want to get to, man. You know what, I might want to do this in a separate video because I want to read all of this and go through it nice and slow. Let me do a part 2 to this. So with that, you know, hey, going back to this situation here with the INF, man. You know, look, man, whether or not Trump do this or not, none of these treaties are gonna matter anyway when World War III kicks off, which is inevitable. And these weapons are going to be used, treaty or no treaty. They're going to be used for what they were made for, which is for the fiery judgment of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. All right? So with that, I'm going to say shalom.